Yo, what's going on, guys? Stratatat here. So you're probably here because you're trying to learn some movement, or maybe you're just here just to learn lurch strafing. I'll put a timestamp down below if that's the only reason why you're here. That way you can fast forward to the lurching part. But if you're a beginner to M&K or just movement in general, this guide is also for you because I will be going over everything that you need to learn to become a movement god like Fade or Lemonhead or Stratatat. Alright, let's get right into it, guys. First things first, we're going to be going over keybinds. Keybinds. I've spent many a nights up late trying to figure out and come up with the perfect calculations to find the best keybinds, and I think I have finally found it. 0.8 mouse sensitivity, no mouse excel. Now, if you're a beginner, this is the most important keybind. Scroll forward and scroll down. Scroll forward is move forward. Scroll down is jump. This is how you're going to be able to super jump, tap, strafe, and all that. Now, this is where we get into some of the weird binds of mine. I like having C as hold to crouch, so that way I can hold down shift and crouch at the same time. Now, that's just my preference. Obviously, you can do auto sprint, but I like having full control over my movement. Next, I got the tactical on mouse 4, interact on my side button. It makes super jumping a lot easier. And once you get into like mantle jumping and all that, it makes it a lot easier. Map, I put on my left alt just because it's easier to get to. Basically, I tried to make it so that all of my most important buttons, I can press them all at once almost. So like you got crouch, you got sprint, you could press all at the same time. You could change weapons. Cycle weapons, I put 2 caps. Toggle fire mode still on B, that's normal. ADS hold, right click, I don't do toggle. And those are the most important keybinds for movement, at least. As you can see, I changed some of these around. Use selected health item, I switched to F. But anyway, I'll scroll through the rest of them, but it's not as important as the movement. Alright. So, arguably, the second most important movement tech in Apex would be the tap strafe. It's extremely simple once you get the basics. There's a lot of things you can do with this. All you gotta do is jump, press A or D, and scroll up. If you're holding forward and then jump, you want to make sure you let go of forward. Every time you tap strafe, you're gonna let go of W. Otherwise, it cancels it out. So, a good practice technique for this, other than just literally just doing this all day until it's second nature, is throw out an octane pad in the firing range. And it's the same thing. As soon as you jump, press A or D and scroll up. That's it. Next up, we got the wall bounce. Arguably the second most important movement tech, along with tap strafing, and super gliding, and super jumping, and mantle jumping. Pretty easy. Just go up to a wall. As soon as you go to grab it, you jump again. That's it. You can wall bounce the other side of walls like that. It all comes with practice, baby. I guess the most important movement tech that you can learn in this game is super gliding. Like that. What you're gonna do is at the peak of your mantle, press C and space at the same time, and it will propel you forward. If you want to do a sideways super glide, you're gonna at the peak of your mantle, hold C in space, and then a directional key. You want to let go forward at the very tip top of the mantle. And then after you go into the direction that you want to go, if you want to go forward, you just tap strafe and let go of all your keys. So I'll try to slow it down so you can see it. You just get way more speed. That's left. This is right. Right is a little bit harder for me. For some reason. I don't know why. So that is super gliding. There is a way that you can actually super glide completely backwards, but I haven't gotten the timing down for that right. If you're able to do it, leave down in the comments below some tips if you have any, please. That would be greatly appreciated. Thank you. We're all learners here on this channel. Next, we will go to super jumping. Another very important movement tech. And also probably one of the simplest ones. All you're gonna do, interact and scroll down. But yeah, that's a pretty easy one. Show it again in slow-mo. Bada bing, bada boom. Next movement tech is gonna be bunny hopping. Now, if you're trying to lurch strafe, this is gonna be one of the most important things for you. Now, there's a lot of things that can affect the way that you bunny hop. The biggest thing is going to be timing. Just like with super gliding, you're going to have a different sweet spot on different servers, depending on your ping and your FPS as well. Packet loss, all that. One thing that I found that seems to help me a lot is I kept my FPS at 120, and ever since I did that, lurch strafing and bunny hopping has been way easier. So if you're having trouble with lurching and bee hopping in general, that's one thing that you could change to see if it helps. As soon as you hit the ground, you're gonna scroll down and hold crouch. Now when I do this, if you look in the direction that you want to go and hold down whatever directional key, as in A or D, that's going to help you carry your momentum through bunny hops as well. So you notice how I'm looking in a different direction about every like 3 bunny hops. And then you can also combo that with a tap strafe if you're trying to turn quicker. Next thing I'm going to go over is mantle jumping. So that right there is a perfectly executed mantle jump. And you can do it looking down or looking up. You most likely want to get down how to look up and do it because you're able to go further with it, and also most of the time you don't even have to look down. The only time you want to look down is if you're in a zipline shaft that has a small opening to mantle out of. Other than that, you usually will want to look up because you go further, that's all. And it's easier to change directions. So my keybinds help me do this a lot easier and faster because, as I said before, my interact is on my mouse button, mouse 4. So it just allows me to use my directional keys more without having to press E and interact with everything. So that's one thing that makes it easier for me. Now, knowing that, I will go through the steps on how to do this. So what you're gonna do, right when you see the top of the floor, as you're going up the zip, is when you want to press space or scroll wheel to jump off, to mantle the floor, okay? That's the first step. So a good routine to do if you can't get this down is to just focus on that first part. Just do this in the firing range until you're able to do that without even thinking about it. Once you get that down, start practicing pressing S after you mantle. That's going to cancel your mantle. That's what we want. We're canceling our mantle into a mantle jump. And then from there, all you got to do is super jump, man. That's it, and you got it down. Now there's also directional changes that you can do with this. Once you mantle, instead of pressing S, you can press D or A and look in that direction and super jump. Just like that. Show you the other direction. Okay. Easy peasy lemon squeezy, right? Now, before you start b-hopping into some lurch strafes, we have to be extremely familiar with our keys, okay? And we need to get that muscle memory down. So what you're gonna do, every time you come into the firing range, the first thing you should do is this. This is your bread and butter right here. Going from SA to A to W to D to DS. That and vice versa. So SD to W to A to AS. This is like the home row of lurch strafing. Just try to get that down. Once you got that down pretty well, you want to try to start tap strafing with it. You want to make sure you're able to do that 1-3-1 mouse grip. But Stratatat, what's a 1-3-1 mouse grip, huh? Well, I'll tell you. So you're gonna have your index finger on your left click, your middle finger on your scroll wheel, and your ring finger on your right click. That's gonna allow you to lurch and shoot at the same time. And you should use that always. I use that no matter what game I'm playing in now, because that's the only way you're gonna get used to it. Alright. So you got the tap strafing down, you got the key inputs down. What's next? Now you want to add your crouch to it. So what I do is start with A or D, jump, do what you learn, do what you've been practicing, okay? AWDS. And then SD to WAS. A good exercise to do is to sit in the firing range and go around a dummy. Notice how I'm holding A and S or S and D the whole time? This is because we're not trying to change directions. That's why this is such a good exercise, because it helps you get down the basics of lurching and the timing, which is also very hard. Notice how I'm constantly, every single time I jump, you're always scrolling up after every jump. You're always tap strafing when you're doing that. See? Alright. You got that down. Now we want to try to learn how to change directions while lurching. This was the hardest thing for me. And the reason why it was so hard to learn for me is because I was doing it wrong. Not only was I doing it wrong, but I didn't have the timing down. So I emphasize how important timing is with this. And if you know for a fact, for certain that you're doing everything right, it could be your FPS or server. Anytime you're changing a direction, you want to let go of S or W. So what I do is S and W, I let go of as soon as I jump, hit W, and then the other directional. So when I'm trying to change directions from left to right, I'm going from AS to A to W immediately after to D to DS. And when you're going through that, you're tap strafing. And then from right to left, you're going SD to D to W to A to AS. And then once you get that down, you can start practicing with the gun. Alright, another tip to lurching. You don't always have to be holding AS or SD. You could be on just D in the middle of a lurch, and it'll propel you in a diagonal forward. See that? You're going a diagonal forward. So that could be used if you're b-hopping a lurch and you realize that you're not going to get all the inputs off to change directions. You could just do one b-hop with a directional key and then go to W, tap strafe, and then change directions. This might be kind of confusing. I'm hoping that you'll be able to understand this, but I'm just trying to share what helped me out. So yeah. You also have a backwards lurch that you can do. Not as good at that. So this is one that I haven't completely gotten down yet. You're basically just going to be going from A to S to D or DS to A. So yeah, that's about it. You now have learned everything that I have learned in life and video games. If you enjoyed this video, please leave a like down below. I really appreciate it. It helps out the channel a lot. And I will see you in the next video. Peace.